Hello and welcome to this special edition of NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen. I'm Kevin Ochsner. Thanks for joining us. We're coming to you live tonight to update you on the issues affecting cattlemen and women and to show you how the National Cattlemen's Beef Association is working on behalf of its members every day. Our panel of membership experts is standing by to take your calls and provide their personal assistance in helping you become an NCBA member. Now, the number to call is 1-866-USA-BEEF. Being president of NCBA is a big commitment. It requires years of service and dedication to the cattle industry. The man next in line for this duty is NCBA President-elect Bob McCan, and he's here with us to talk about the current state of the association. Alongside Bob is Forrest Roberts. He's the Chief Executive Officer of NCBA. Gentlemen, thanks for joining us on our show tonight.
Thanks for having us, Kevin.
Good to be here, Kevin.
Bob, for folks that may not have had an opportunity to meet you, why don't you just begin by telling folks a little bit about yourself and your operation?
Sure. I grew up on a South Texas ranch in Victoria, Texas, and we're about 2 hours south of Houston down there, close to the coast. And we've raised commercial Brayford cows down there, had a cow-calf operation for many years. I'm actually the 5th generation of my family to manage our cattle operation down there. And we also have a recreational hunting enterprise that we manage down there, and we run cattle and hunting operations on some of our family country and some lease property also. Good. And so we're down there where if it doesn't scratch you or bite you, it'll sting you. And so it's kind of good to get away every once in a while and get a chance to travel around.
Well, we're glad to have you up here. Now, speaking of some of the challenges you all face in Texas, I know you were hard hit by the drought. Tell us about how the conditions are now in Texas.
That's true, Kevin. We had a really tough summer and we've had a really tough couple of years, but we had a great September. We've had more rain than we've had in a long time, and South Texas is bouncing back, and actually a lot of the state has bounced back, a lot of green grass, and so folks are kind of getting a little feeling of optimism and hopefully thinking about expanding.
And Forrest, you travel a lot of miles every year on behalf of the organization. What are you seeing relative to conditions out in the country as you see and talk with producers?
Well, building off of where Bob just left off, obviously the drought has had a significant impact on our industry, going back to where we have a cow herd now back to the levels of what we saw in the 1950s, and a lot of that has a direct result of what Mother Nature has dealt our industry over the past several years. But what I see as I travel across the entire country, and for that matter across the globe, is an industry that's very resilient. Folks are cautiously optimistic about what's happened recently in terms of some of the events of Mother Nature in certain areas of the country where they've received some rain, other areas of the country where they've had some other devastation. But folks are moving forward with that cautious sense of optimism to look at where they make decisions as a family, for example, in a cow-calf operation to expand, as Bob had noted in his comments. But also they're looking toward how they look to the future of our industry in terms of where's our market going to be in the year 2020, perhaps even out to the year 2025, and how do they make the best decisions today. So overall, we see today about maybe 25% of that cow herd in more of an extreme drought area versus just a year ago, Kevin, it was closer to 55%. So that's a sense of relief that I see in the eyes of cattle producers all across this country. So cautious optimism, that's probably how I would capture most of the sentiment that I gather from folks all across the country.
And while we're seeing some relief from drought, as you say, we're suffering in some places from some devastating weather events. I know all of our hearts go out to the folks in South Dakota this evening. I had a conversation with a good friend of mine this morning who shared with me some of the devastation in terms of lost cattle and horses up there. It was just absolutely devastating. So our hearts and prayers actually go out to those folks that are suffering with that tonight.
Yeah, certainly our prayers go out to them, Kevin, as you said, and we're working very closely with our affiliate, the South Dakota Cattlemen's Association, as they look toward relief efforts and every bit of help that we can give to cattlemen and women there in that state that have been hit very, very hard.
Let's talk internationally for just a minute. I know both of you recently returned from a trip to the Five Nations Beef Alliance. Forrest, tell us a little bit about what that organization is all about and maybe give us some highlights of your trip.
Sure, Kevin. The Five Nations Beef Alliance is 5 countries, the U.S., Canada, Mexico, New Zealand, and Australia. This alliance has been in existence now for a little over a decade, and it came together to talk about trade policy related issues of common interest going back over a decade ago. Each year there's an annual conference, and this was the year for the Australians to host the conference. So Bob and I and a few other members of our team had the honor to be able to represent the USA at this conference in Queensland here just a few weeks ago. So a great opportunity to not only get some exposure to how the Australians look at their industry and where they look toward future expansion and growth, especially in the export markets, but it was also, most importantly, an opportunity for all the cattle organizations from these respective countries to focus in on issues that are of a common interest. So we talked through especially issues around trade policy. With the Trans-Pacific Partnership, obviously that's a huge opportunity for the U.S. and all 5 countries. So we focused on trade policy as well as talking through beef sustainability, animal welfare related issues, as well as how we look at growing young leaders and young business leaders in this industry. So overall, a great opportunity to see a different part of our industry on a global level. And actually, Bob here was the whip cracking champion of all of the nations in Australia.
Got lucky.
Well, congratulations. Thanks for representing us so well. Yeah. We might send you with that whip back to D.C. That may be useful about right now, you know. Speaking of the travel you do, I'd be interested to know, what are the issues that are coming top of mind to producers as you visit with them around the country?
Well, I think a lot of the producers that I visit with have a real concern about the future of the industry. And whether it be a state tax, whether it be overregulation from the government, growing population of consumers that are extremely sensitive about where their food comes from, how their food is produced, just a number of myriad of issues that concerns them about the future of the industry. And I think that's what we try to focus on at NCBA, is to help out our membership in those regards and try to get a feel for what's affecting those folks.
As you begin a new fiscal year, Forrest, what's on your radar screen?
Well, naturally, we're starting off this fiscal year in a really good position. NCBA is a much different organization than it was, Kevin, just a few short years ago. It's solid in terms of its financial footing and its focus. I was just in Washington, D.C. with our team late last week, and obviously that is a very, very difficult situation. And our hope and our prayers that we get common ground found in a very short order so we can continue to move this industry and this country forward as opposed to where it stands today. But setting that aside for a minute, Kevin, when we look at our fiscal year 2014, which we're 1 week into it today, we have a sense of optimism about where this industry can go over the course of the next 3 to 5 to 10 years. And we're fast at work bringing all of the decisions that cattle producers like Bob and his family have given us input through this whole grassroots process, to where we're able to not only focus on building a business climate that Bob spoke to and those things that are important to give these producers freedom to operate, but also how we look at building global demand for beef. How do we define a word like sustainability? How do we cut through consumer clutter and all the confusion they may have about choosing a source of protein and whether beef fits at the center of their plate or some other protein, as well as expanding a lot of the export market growth opportunities that we have. We're really focused on that real integrated plan in working with our state partners all across the U.S. at the state affiliate level and the state beef council level to make sure that we bring that plan to life. And at the same time, we're working toward a new strategic plan that allow us to look at our resourcing. How do we look out here toward, say, the year 2020 and have the resources in this organization to continue to deliver that value that really are the results that this man here is counting on us to deliver. So we're pretty excited about where we can go. Naturally, we have a few issues that we're trying to continue to be very sensitive to with what we referenced earlier about what's happened in South Dakota. So it's the way our industry sometimes works, where you have one side where you're working with on one angle and another side on another angle.
Oh. Huge amount of work. And specifically relative to policy, Bob, I know you have a wealth of background going up through the ranks with NCBA, but what are going to be your policy priorities in the year ahead?
Well, we really have to put a lot of focus still on getting a good 5-year farm bill passed, and we've been struggling with that. Our folks in Washington have been working on that for 2 years now, and trying to get all those core components and core principles included in that farm bill that are going to be important to our producers, like the conservation title, for a lot of the programs that help them, be able to carry out their stewardship practices and production practices, like our research title, and just a lot of the things that are included in that farm bill that make it a little easier for our guys to be producers. Another big one is on the radar screen is going to be immigration reform, and hopefully we'll be able to see some of that later on come to fruition. You know, it's going to be very important as we expand some of these businesses and hopefully expand our cow herd that we have a reliable labor force, and we desperately need to have a good guest worker program. And one that's not going to be seasonal, one that's going to be, you know, year-round, or be able to have people there for at least a year to carry out all the things that we need to do. So those are just a few. Of course, you know, a big policy focus for us has been country of origin labeling, and it's been a kind of a broken program. It's been a real financial burden for a lot of our producers on the northern part of the country and the southern part on the borders, on both sides of the borders. So this is affecting our biggest trading partners, Canada and Mexico. So we really feel like, you know, we need to try to get something done with this and get this cool rule fixed.
And real quick, you're going to be taking the reins as president in Nashville. What would you tell people who might be sitting at home tonight thinking about coming to the convention?
Well, this is going to be the largest and oldest cattle industry convention in the country, and it's going to be a great opportunity for getting some good, unique education, either through our Cattlemen's College or at the trade show, and you get to see a lot of the cutting edge technology that's happening in our industry at the trade show. Also, just going to be a great entertainment opportunity. Cowboy Night at the Grand Ole Opry is always a great event, and I think folks will, you know, if nothing else, just look forward to be able to have good camaraderie and see a lot of their friends.
Final thoughts, Forrest?
You know, what Bob just built off of, well, I really would like for viewers out there tonight to have two things that they would do with their relationship with NCBA. One is join NCBA. We're a grassroots-driven organization. We need cattlemen and women across this country to continue to help build the momentum that we built in this organization. We're very proud of what we've been able to accomplish, and we need more grassroots producers to continue to join and engage in the process so that we make the best decisions for this industry, not just for the short term, but for the long term. And then secondly is come to Nashville. It's an opportunity of a lifetime. It's an opportunity to have an experience of a lifetime literally every day. So we need you to come to Nashville, engage in the process, and we are for certain, without a shadow of a doubt, we know that there will be value that you'll be able to take back to your operation and to your family business.
I concur. We'll look forward to seeing you both in Nashville.
Thanks, Kevin.